well. Because he was chanting Krishna, Krishna even in his sleep. So why does Arjun want to know? He is just the medium. This is actually all for us. We are all the fallen souls in this material world, struggling somehow to be happy with a desire to make a lot of money, to have a big house, to have a lot of cars, to have a lot of wealth, have a happy family. But are we really happy? We need to ask this question to ourselves. Are we really happy? Are we achieving what we are trying to achieve? Are we getting what we want, what we desire? Because our desires are endless. Today we have one car, we want two cars. Today we may have a Toyota, tomorrow we want a Mercedes, then we want a Bentley. Things are never ending. These material things will keep coming. And this is the job of Maya, to keep throwing googlies at us. Right? So we have to see what we want, what our real desire is. And where is it that we are going? We need to, take a step back and ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? Are we doing what we are supposed to do? Are we going where we are supposed to go? Are we achieving what we are supposed to achieve? So we need to reflect on these words. Think of me. Krishna is saying, think of me. Man mana bhavana. Worship me and pay obeisance unto me. So we need to reflect on these words. But the reality is that our mind is so fickle. It doesn't stay in one place even for 1 second. We may be present here physically in the temple, but where is our mind?
Somewhere else.
Right? We don't know. It might be in India, it might be in US, it might be in Africa, it might be back home from wherever we are, thinking about our family. So what are we doing? Are we, when we are in the temple, are we physically we are here, but mentally we are not here. So if mentally we are not here, then we are not actually thinking about Krishna. Because our mind is thinking about so many things. Our mind has so many things that we want to try and achieve. But technically we can't achieve anything. They say multitasking, but multitasking doesn't work. Krishna says, focus on me. Focus your mind on me. So if our mind is not focusing on Krishna, it's focusing on other 10 things that we are thinking about, then what's the point? Right? So there are two parts to this, right? What are we supposed to do and how are we supposed to do? So what are we supposed to do? Think about Krishna. Chant his name. Associate with the devotees. Right? Serve the devotees. Serve the Lord. And all that is for the pleasure of the Lord. Not for my own pleasure. If we are chanting the name of the Lord, it's for the pleasure of the Lord. But in return, the Lord is so merciful that He is purifying our heart. He's allowing us to get rid of all the anarthas, all the offenses that we commit, all the karmas that we have collected from our past lives. He's helping us to do that. But we need to know the right process. Now we know we are supposed to chant the name of the Lord. But how? We don't know the process. Right? So unless and until we know the right process, we are not going to get the full benefit. It's like you're cooking khichdi at home. You know, yes, rice will go in, dal will go in, vegetables will go in, some spices will go in. But if you don't know what goes first and what goes second, your khichdi will not taste right. If you don't know whether I'm supposed to put sugar or salt, your khichdi will not taste right. So yes, you need to know what you're supposed to do, but at the same time, you need to know the right process. So unless and until we don't follow the process, we won't achieve the right results. So there is a famous example that we all know from Srimad Bhagavatam about Dhruv Maharaj and Narad Muni, right? So when Narad Muni became the guru of Dhruv Maharaj, he not only explained him the importance of bhakti for Lord Vishnu, but he also explained the process that you are supposed to chant. If you want to please Lord Vishnu, you are supposed to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So if Narad Muni had not told Dhruv Maharaj what is to be done, would he have achieved the Lord? Would he have got darshan of the Lord? Because he didn't know the right process. So that's where the Guru steps in. He holds our hand and teaches us how to perform bhakti. He teaches us what is the right process, how we are supposed to perform arti, how we are supposed to chant. So that is all that we need to learn. What is the process? And we are all neophyte devotees. At least I am, right? So we are all performing Vedic Bhakti. And for Vedic Bhakti, for this process, Prahlad Maharaj has given us the 9 processes of devotional service. And they are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So what are they? Shravanam is hearing, right? Kirtanam is chanting. Vishnu Smaranam is remembering the Lord. Then Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Archanam is deity worship, Arti. Then Dasyam, so you are becoming somebody's servant and serving him. Whether it's your family, whether it's your children, wife, husband, or if you're in the temple, you're serving the devotees, serving the deities. Then Sakhyam, you're becoming a friend. And Atmanivadam, then you're completely surrendering yourself. So when we raise our hands, what are we doing? We are saying, okay, I surrender. Like a thief, if he's being caught by the cops, he'll say, okay, I surrender. If he doesn't surrender, either he gets shot or in trouble. So when we are raising our hands, we are telling the Lord that, okay, I surrender, please accept me. Right? And what are the devotees doing? The devotees are engaged 24/7 in hearing the name of the Lord, chanting the name of the Lord, and contemplating on the divine qualities of the Lord. So, and out of all the 9 processes, Shravanam is the most important, because that is what purifies your heart. We call Cheto Darpanam Arjanam. So as we keep chanting, we are removing all our anarthas, one anartha at a time. It's like you have a room that's closed for months. Suddenly when you open the room, the dust is going to fly. Right? So you feel, okay, I need to clean it. So as you start cleaning, you start to see the actual room, how it looked before it became dirty. Similar is the case with our heart. We have collected so many anarthas over so many lifetimes we don't know. So now we have this rare human birth where we have this opportunity that we are here in the middle of devotees. We have the opportunity to chant the name of the Lord. So make the most of it to get rid of all the anarthas that you can, and possibly get out of this cycle of birth and death within this lifetime. It's not easy. But there is a guarantee that at some point we will be able to get out of the cycle of birth and death. The only thing we need to do is keep at it. My Guru Maharaj always says, whether I am present or I am not present, make sure you don't leave Krishna consciousness. Because this is the only thing that will get us through. Otherwise, we have no hope. This material world is a very bad place. We all know what's going on. We see that every day. Right? So we are very fortunate that we are in Krishna consciousness. We have a family that Prabhupada has created for us. We have the temples that we can go to. So let's take the maximum advantage of this opportunity and not lose it. And Shravanam also makes our faith more stronger. And the moment your faith becomes stronger, your devotional life will improve automatically. Because your love for Krishna will start increasing. As you keep doing more service, you're basically burning all your bad karmas and good karmas. Because when you're serving the Lord, you're not collecting any karmas. It's called a karma. So no bad karma, no good karma, because it's for the pleasure of the Lord. And that akarma balance, when that increases, your sukarma and vikarma balance starts to reduce. So then you have to make sure that you don't commit any more karmas or any more anarthas. But unknowingly, we commit so many anarthas. So we have to be mindful of what we are speaking. We have to be mindful of our actions. That is very, very important. We should not, knowingly or unknowingly, we should not hurt anybody. Whether that's a devotee or a non-devotee doesn't matter. Because we don't know who's a devotee and we don't know who's a non-devotee. We are no one to judge them. So we have to be very mindful of our words and actions. That's very important. And we may think, what is so difficult about Shravana? But, we all are sitting here right now, we are listening. Are you putting any physical efforts? Your 2 ears are there, they are listening. But again, listening, there are so many different types of listening. So we'll discuss that very shortly. So there is some old data which says that when you listen 60%, you only remember 25%. Right? And that's why we hear, let's say you like some Prabhuji, you listen to his lectures, and you listen to a particular lecture that you like so much. But every time you listen, you feel, oh, this is something new. Because we don't pay attention to listening. Because our mind is somewhere else. So everything boils down to man mana bhava mad bhakto. So you have to basically control your mind. You have to bring your mind back and tell the mind. You have to literally, do bargaining with your mind. How you go to a shop and bargain with the shopkeeper? So consider your mind as a shopkeeper and bargain with it. You give me some time, let me chant, then I'll do whatever you want. So make the mind the shopkeeper, and that should be a target. That today, if my mind is going to tell me, no, you enjoy for 10 hours, I will bargain. No, I'll enjoy only for 8 hours, but 2 hours I need. So we have to practice that and make it a point that we do bargain with the mind. And then slowly your mind will start listening to you rather than you listening to your mind. Because the moment you start listening to your mind, you're becoming a slave of your mind, which we already are. We are trying to reverse the process by making the mind your slave. So there are 2 words in English, and there is a difference between the two. So one is hearing, and the other one is listening. So hearing is with physical ears, right? And listening is with conscious mind. So, we all are sitting here. You know, here of course we have some soundproof walls, so we don't hear so much what is going on outside. But sometimes if the door is open and if cars are passing by, you'll hear that sound, right? And if there is somebody working in the kitchen and the utensils are making noise, you will hear that noise. So that is all hearing. And then you might start also thinking, right? Okay, they're making noise in the kitchen, so I'm sure they're cooking. So what are they cooking? Maybe paneer, right? Maybe samosa, maybe gulab jamun. So now where is your mind going? Think about it. Right? You're sitting here in the class. I'm speaking, but your mind is going wild. So that is all hearing. Now what is listening? Is that when, with your conscious mind, when you're sitting in the class, you filter everything. So you filter the outside noise, you filter the noise in the kitchen, you filter anybody who's sitting next to you and gossiping with somebody else. So you filter all that, and then when you listen, you will remember. Because now what you're doing is you're physically there, your mind is also focusing on what the speaker is speaking. So then your memory will retain more, not just 25%. But the moment your mind goes and listens or hears the external sounds, you'll forget what the speaker said because you didn't listen. So this is very important, that we have to be attentive while listening. Why does the teacher say in the class that pay attention to the students? Right? Teacher is saying something, writing something on the board, and the children are cracking jokes or talking among themselves, and the teacher will throw chalk. There's a teacher there, she does that.
Don't even mention that.
So there are different types of listening. So one is called active listening. So what is active listening? So you pay attention. But at many times we don't pay attention, we get tension. Oh, I have to go for the class. I have to sit there for an hour and a half. How am I going to concentrate? I don't understand a word. So you get tension. Right? But we don't have to do that. You have to just pay attention. Right? Then maintain eye contact is very important. Because even in corporate world, they say that have eye contact with the other person that you're talking to. Because if you don't have eye contact, you won't really understand what the other person is trying to say, what his expressions are. That's why they say just talking on the phone can give you a different result as compared to you sitting in front of somebody and talking about something. Because phone, you don't see the other person's expressions. You don't see the feelings of the person. How the other person is feeling, what his emotional state is, what his mental state is. That only you can see when you're physically present. Right? Then, active listening, the other part is don't interrupt. So, when somebody goes for a seminar and if the subject that the speaker is speaking is not of his interest, he may yawn. And unknowingly, sometimes he may yawn with a big sound. So at that point, the speaker will lose all his interest. Right? Or somebody's phone will all of a sudden go off. Even though they are given instructions. Nowadays, every seminar, every class, every lecture, the first instruction is put your phone on the silent. But still, some people just don't do it, and somebody's phone will invariably ring. So that takes away the speaker's focus on what he's talking about. Then the other one is don't multitask. And we all do that. We all do that, invariably. We have a beat bag in one hand, the other hand we have the phone, WhatsApp. Did I reply to that? What message did I get? So we are not supposed to multitask. And again, make the whole circle and come back. Man mana bhava man bhakto. Focus on me. And show interest in the speaker and the subject. And the classic example of this is Parikshit Maharaj. Right? Sukdev Goswami would go from one topic to another. And Parikshit Maharaj would stop and say, no. Please explain me in detail about the Brahma Vimon Leela. Don't jump to the next pastime. Tell me in detail. So this shows that the audience is listening. And this increases the motivation for the speaker to speak more in detail. The other one is passive listening. Now because I have come here, I will listen. Right? Don't expect more than this one. So it's like you ask somebody to come with you to the temple, sit with you in the class, but if he's not interested, his mind is not going to focus. He's not going to do any active listening. He will sit here. We say in India, "Dono kaan khule rakho," cross ventilation, right? So he'll have that cross ventilation. He'll go from here and out from the other one. And the filter is totally clean. So everything will just filter through. He doesn't have to put any efforts of removing anything that he doesn't want. And the three areas are, he is pretending to listen because he's physically sitting there. So he's pretending, okay, I'm listening, yeah. He's looking at the speaker, but in his mind he's saying, okay, when are you going to shut up? Enough. You give me all this theory, next what? And then he's mindless listening. So he's not applying his mind because he's not interested. Right? And unproductive listening. So at the end of the class, if he was pretending to listen, if he was not applying his mind, what did he do? He just wasted 2 hours of his time. How motivating is that? So there is one Gaudiya Acharya by the name of Rasikanand Dev. And he was a very powerful speaker. And he had one disciple by the name of Sri Ramakrishna. And the province that they were living in, the king was also a devotee of the Lord. So Rasikanand Dev would almost on a regular basis go to the king's court and he would narrate pastimes or read Bhagavatam to the king. Now one day it so happened that he fell sick. So he tells his disciple Ramakrishna that today you go and read Bhagavatam or narrate some pastimes to the king. So he said, okay, I'll go. This Guru's instruction, so he cannot deny. So he arrives at the king's court. All his subjects, all his ministers, the king is seated on the throne, and all the soldiers and his security guard, and everybody is present because everybody used to be present in the court. And Ramakrishna starts to read from the Bhagavatam. After some time, he noticed that the king is not paying attention and he has something on his mind that is discussing with his ministers. Now he was a staunch follower of his guru. So when he saw this, he just closed the Bhagavatam. He stopped. Not only that, he walks up to the king and gives him a tight slap. So everybody is just zapped. The king doesn't know what happened. He's seeing stars, and he gave him a real tight slap. And his bodyguards are all swords out, and we're going to chop your head. And he's the king; he can do whatever he wants. And how dare you sleep? And what kind of a Brahmana you are that you're slapping the king? You have no right to do that. And as the guards were about to, use the sword, the king stopped them. Because the king is a devotee of the Lord, and he knows, I made a mistake. I did not pay attention. I did not respect the speaker. So, if you are in a class or in a lecture or if you are listening something, please pay attention. Because it's not for the speaker's benefit. It's not for the speaker's purification. It's for our own purification. Do we really want to get out of this cycle of birth and death? Yes, then we need to focus. We need to train our mind that, yes, this is at this time, don't force me to think about anything else. Because even if you do, I'm not going to listen to you. So, as the mind is adamant about moving your focus from the task that you're doing, you have to be adamant with your mind. That come what may, I'm going to chant. These 2 hours are mine. I need these 2 hours to focus. Because if I don't, then my bhakti is not progressing. My devotional service is going nowhere. Why do we take initiation? Why do we take Brahmanical initiation? It's not like a tag. No, it has some meaning to it. And we have given our word to our Guru that I will follow your instructions. What did Ramakrishna do when he slapped the king? His Guru didn't tell him to slap, but he followed his Guru's instructions. That if a devotee is not paying attention, you're supposed to chastise him. Why does the Guru chastise a disciple? Does he have fun? Is he doing it for his benefit? No, it's for our purification. Why does the mother scold the child? It's for the child's benefit, not for the mother's benefit. Then the next one is critical listening. Now this is where we all fall into. Because critical listening is nothing but fault finding, judging, disagreeing while listening. You're not being verbal. In your mind you're disagreeing. And focusing on what's in it for me. So this is all critical listening. Now it's like, you have an ocean and you're trying to find salty water. Is it really very difficult to find salty water from the ocean? Similarly, in this Kali Yuga material world, it's very easy to find faults. And that too not in our own self. We like to find faults in others. And we derive great pleasure when we find somebody else's fault. But in reality, that's our shortcoming. Right? And finding faults is like if somebody is saying something, he may say Krishna, or somebody else may say Krishna. Right? But somebody who has an intention of finding faults, he'll try to say, oh, you don't say it like this. It's supposed to be said like this. Now whether you say Ram or Rama, it's the same thing. The name is potent. Right? Or somebody may say Shankar, or somebody may say Sankar. How does that matter? So at one time, in the very initial days, Prabhupada just came back from the West and he had some white-bodied disciples come with him. And this was in Jaipur. So all the Pandits and Brahmanas and said, oh, Prabhupada has come back, he has some white-bodied disciples, and the female disciples are wearing a sari, a tilak, and the male disciples are all wearing dhoti, kurta. So let's go and see, what are they doing. So they all come to meet Prabhupada and they sit down. So there was one Mataji by the name of Yamuna Mataji. So Prabhupada calls her and says, can you recite the verses from Ishopnisha? So she says, okay. And she knew only 6 verses. She didn't even know the 7th one. But, Prabhupada said, so she started. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Prabhupada said, that's enough. So he is Shaitya Guru. He knows. And the moment Sir Prabhupada said, it's enough, Yamuna Mataji said, I didn't know the 7th one. I didn't want to let Prabhupada down. So she's thanking Prabhupada in her mind that, oh, thank God you asked me to stop. I don't know what I would have done. So after listening to all this, of course, the Pandits was bound to comment. So it's, and this is critical thinking, They said, Swamiji, all that is nice, but her pronunciation is not correct. So right away, in a split second, Prabhupada instantly to protect Yamuna Mataji, he said, to defend her, he said, yes, I agree, her pronunciation may not be correct, but her renunciation is perfect. So this was Prabhupada. Prompt response to the point. So we have to see what the intention is, what the intent is. Because otherwise, we are just doing critical thinking like those Pandits and Brahmanas. Everything is not about pronunciation. What your mood is. So that's why Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. Right? You offer me a leaf, water, fruit, flower, but it's the bhav. It's with what mood you are offering me. Because if your mood is not right, here, Krishna, eat this. He's not going to accept it. After that, whether you offer him rasgullas or gulab jamuns or puri halwa, doesn't matter. So our mood is what matters the most. How humble you are. That's important. And then disagreeing while listening. So if somebody is, describing that Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill on the little finger, on the nail of the little finger, and here I am sitting, is that even possible? Who can lift such a big mountain? No, I don't believe it. So you start disagreeing within your mind. You're not even saying it verbally. So then, why, without understanding the subject matter, don't jump to conclusions? If you don't know, ask questions. Right? So then, once Jayadvat Maharaj was speaking on Ramayana, and this was in London at the Londoneshwar temple, and he gave an example of Hanuman. So after the lecture was over, during the Q&A session, and he was very, very good with giving answers, something almost on the lines of Prabhupada. So there was somebody who asked a question. He says, tell me first, how can a monkey fly? I can understand that Hanuman is in the form of a monkey, but monkeys flying, and that too across the ocean, without wings. And, I don't believe all this. So Jayadvat Maharaj says that, just because you can't fly, that doesn't mean Hanuman couldn't fly. So the person immediately asks a second question, he's trying to defend his point now. So he says, how do you know I can't fly? So now Maharaj gives the perfect answer. If you can fly, then definitely Hanumanji can fly. Right? So, and then the last point is focusing in what's in it for me. So now this person is sitting there and thinking, okay, you spoke about Govardhan Hill, you spoke about Damodar Leela, you spoke about this, you spoke about that Leela. Tell me something practical. What's in it for me? And this was Radha Govind Maharaj and, talking about all the Leelas. So somebody asked him that, how do I benefit practically? So Maharaj says, in the last 7 days, all that I have spoken is all practical. You just need to apply it to your life. Have you even applied it? No, first apply and follow what Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad Gita. Apply that in our day-to-day life. Because Bhagavad Gita is not a religious book. It's a manual for our life, how we should lead our life, what we should do and what we should not do. It's like we buy a new cell phone, we get a booklet, do's and don'ts, the operating manual. So Bhagavad Gita is our life's operating manual. So we are supposed to do certain things, we are not supposed to do certain things. And if we follow that, our life will be bliss, full of bliss. Then we won't have to go to this Babaji and that Babaji and go out and get our Patrika read by some Pandit who's not even a Pandit. Because nobody is Brahmin by birth, as Prabhupada said. Right? We become Brahmins by our actions. And what we do, how we carry ourselves, what we speak. In India, if you go, all the Brahmanas, they're eating eggs, they're drinking, they're meat eating, they're doing all sorts of things. And they call themselves to be Brahmanas because they're born in a Brahminical family. That doesn't make them a Brahmin. So we have to really be mindful of what we do. Again, man mana bhava mat samso. So if we don't have Krishna in our mind, if we don't have Krishna in our heart, we are never going to be able to achieve it. We are never going to progress in our bhakti. So we really need to take a step back and think, what is it that we want to achieve? What is it that I want? And then there are 5 types of Shramana as per Niti Shastra. So the first one is called Kapot Shramana, which is like a pigeon. So pigeon will basically eat anything and everything. He'll eat grains also and he'll eat worms also. So a Kapot Shravanam is that a person will listen to everything and not focus on anything. The second one is the Kak Shravan, which is like a crow. So the crow, what he will do is, even if he is in a beautiful garden, the only place that he will look for is the heap of garbage. And in that also he'll look for the garbage that is stinky, wet, and the worst garbage from that pipe. And he'll go kah, kah, kah. So the other crows will also come. So by that he is telling them a message that forget the garbage that you found, come here, I found the best garbage. Right? So they, again, selective, they'll just pick whatever they want. They are in a rose garden, but they're picking garbage. So that's what we do so many times. We come to the temple, we are in the middle of the aarti, but we are, doing prajalpa with our somebody who's standing next to us. Are we really coming to the temple to do prajalpa? Or are we coming to see the Lord? In fact, we are not even coming to see the Lord. The real reason of coming to the temple is so that the Lord sees us. That's the real reason we should be coming to the temple. That, yes, my Lord, I am here. Please mark my presence. When we are doing arti, we are not doing for our pleasure. We should have one thought in mind that, my dear Lord, I am doing arti and I am sure you will accept my service. That's what we should be thinking about. Then the third one is Hamsa Shravana, which is like a swan. The swan can separate water and milk, right? So a person with this ability can differentiate between what is good, what is bad. I will keep the good, I will distill the bad. So that's that. Then the fourth one is Bhakshravan. It's like a crane. So crane is very focused. He is standing in the middle of the water, but his focus is that fish. Right? So this kind of listening, he will filter out all the surrounding sounds. And he will focus only what he wants to, what is most beneficial for him. And the fifth one is the Shuka Shravana. Shuka means parrot. Shukdev Goswami. Right? So for the parrot it is said that if a parrot eats a fruit, the fruit becomes even sweeter. So that's how when Shukdev Goswami heard from Vyasdev and he narrated the same Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, it was even more sweeter because then Parikshit Maharaj sat there for 7 days without taking a break because it was so sweet that he could not focus. So that's what we need to be. That's what our attitude should be. That's how we should be paying attention when we are listening or doing any devotional service for that matter. We go to the temple, we come out, and somebody at home will ask us, okay, what was the color of the deity's dress? I don't know. What did you do when you went to the temple? You were there for 2 hours. What did we do? Because we were not focusing. So we need to bind our mind. How Mother Yashoda bound Lord Krishna, we need to bind our mind. If we bind our mind cannot go anywhere. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have 5 minutes for any reflections, any input, any questions, answers.
I'd just like to give an input.
Yes, Mother.
I read in Manahashiksha that the mind is stubborn and it's very obstinate. So when we try to bring our mind back to what, like if we're chanting and we're trying to bring our mind back with a little bit of force, then it creates tension. So in this book it says that we have to humbly pray to our mind. So in this way, the mind, like you kind of coach it to come back when you pray to it.
Right.
And I'd like to add to what you were saying about Shravanam Kirtanam. Like when someone is climbing a mountain, in the beginning it's very difficult, but what keeps that person going and trying so hard is the idea that he's going to reach the summit, the top.
Right.
Like
Focus.
so many devotees are saying, also myself, well, we're chanting, but when will we see Krishna? When is this going to happen? Like how long more? How many more lifetimes? So from my reflection, it's like when we read about the offenses, the 10 offenses, unless we follow that when we're practicing Shravanam Kirtanam, then we're not going to reach that goal where it promises that all in that holy name, in the holy name, there is Venu Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, Rati Madhuri, and Rup Madhuri. All the sweetness of Krishna's form, pastime, the flute, everything is in the holy name.
Right.
So that's what we should be aiming as the goal to reach. So
Right.
I'd just like to add to what you were saying.
No, that's
so
wonderful.
we don't move from the idea that we can see Krishna face to face if we keep practicing
Right.
and praying to our mind, begging it to cooperate, so we can, in this lifetime, because next lifetime,
We don't know.
we don't know. As one Bhakti Yoga said, the next lifetime,
Yeah.
Krishna gives us a little bit of free will.
Yeah.
Who knows what we will do with that free will? In this lifetime.
Look what we have done in this lifetime with the free will.
So we might as well get down to seriousness
Yeah.
and try to get to the top of the mountain by
Yeah.
seeing Krishna face to face.
Yeah.
Try very hard.
Yeah.
I'll
So
try.
every time when my Guru Maharaj comes, this question is being asked invariably, that how do I improve my chanting? Or I can't focus on my chanting. And the only answer he gives, repeatedly he has given that, and everybody knows that this is the answer. He will say, keep chanting. Don't leave chanting. He said, that's why he says that, whether I am present in this material world or after my departure, don't leave Krishna consciousness. Because it's like, we are trying to do something, and if we don't find success, we run away. So we don't have to run away. We have to keep at it.
Determination.
So that's what, as you said, he wants to reach the mountain, but only if he is focused. That yes, my focus is that mountain. Even if I slip twice, fine, I'll get up and again try. So that's what we should be doing. No matter what, whether we see Krishna in this lifetime, that should not be our focus. Our focus is, I want to chant, I want to improve my chanting, and Krishna will see our desire, and he will give us the intelligence to focus. He will give us the ability to be able, so that we can focus. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Very nice class, Prabhu. Hare
श्री राधा गोपी वल्लभ की जय, पद सुभद्रा की जय, लक्ष्मी भगवान की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे।